Hello, welcome to the Clinician training video. During this video, we will show you everything you need to know to successfully use Pariox. So, once you're logged into the system, this is exactly what you will see in front of you. This is your dashboard. On your dashboard, you will find lots of information. If not, more than 90% of the data that you will want to or need to use is embedded right here in front of you on your home page. The home page is the Patients tab, and that is the top left tab here in the menu. Now let's go ahead and dive into the profile just real quickly. On your profile, you're going to want to set up some information such as user ID. You'll want to also scroll your way down and set up your electronic signature, especially if you'll be utilizing Pariox eForms. So be sure to set up your electronic signature. It's a secret code of sorts. You'll set it up right here, and then you'll hit Save Profile at the bottom. Now let's go back into our home page, our Patients tab. The Patients tab really has four main parts to it. And the first part of four is going to be right here, top right corner of the screen. This is where you'll find your new patients. And you can click on the patient's name to go to that patient's screen and find out some more information on the patient. But we'll go ahead and visit a different patient. Then the second part of four is going to be your My Patient lists. And the most important, or perhaps the most used list of all of these listed here, is going to be your My Active. What this list will do is actually show you a list of all your active patients. So if you ever wonder, well, which patients should I be treating, right, to make sure that no patients are falling through the cracks, well, this is a great place to go. You'll click on My Active to see a list of all your active patients, and from here you can see exactly what your active patient list is, but also what is the frequency in the current week for each one of your patients. I can see that this patient, with just one blink of the eye, has these two visits that are needed in the current weeks. They're matched. They're okay. They're on the schedule. So this green check mark indicates that these two visits, they are scheduled. Either I scheduled them as the PT, I'm logged in here as a physical therapist, or perhaps the PTA has them on the schedule, or maybe I've got one on my schedule and the PTA has the other. The gist of it is that when you see a green check mark, these two visits are scheduled, so that patient is taken care of. What we really want to pay attention to is actually the caution sign. If you see a caution sign that indicates, well, that less visits are scheduled in the current week than what's really required by the frequency. So what you could do is you can click on the patient's name, and when you click on the patient's name, it'll bring you to that patient's screen on which you can then see exactly what is needed for that patient. So let's go ahead and visit this patient's screen. Here it is, patient James Johnson. And when we scroll down to the calendar, we can see exactly what is omitted here. We have two visits due, one is on the schedule. Now we are going to talk more a little bit in just a little bit about how to schedule, how do we manage our schedule, how do we plug visits in. So let's go ahead and make our way at this time back to our home page. What I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh the home page by clicking on my Patients tab just so I have the view of my dashboard again. And just to recap, we've only covered two of the four main parts of the home page. We've looked at our new patients, and we've looked at our My Patient list, being your My Active, probably the most useful list of them all. Now let's take a look at the third part before we dive into some scheduling, and that is going to be your weekly calendar. This right here, front and center, is your weekly calendar. It shows you exactly what visits are scheduled for what patients and at what times. So here, for example, on Wednesday, the 19th, I have a 11:45 regular visit with patient Johnson. I have also a 1:45 13th or 19th reassessment with patient Jenkins. And each one of these patients' names are links to those individual patient screens, so you can very easily go right into the patient screen from your home page. Now the final item that you'll be able to see here on this home page is your note. So let's say that this patient, and here it is an electronic documents patient, so an Pariox eForm patient. Well, what you'll see is you'll see the eForm right there. Because I had scheduled a regular visit, when I click on the eForm, let's go ahead and do that, it is going to open up a regular eForm visit note. There it is. Based on what you schedule for the patient, that is the type of electronic note you will have available to you. So here, I have a 1319 reassessment scheduled, a functional reassessment. So when I click on the e-form, it is going to open up a functional reassessment. Now there's two more options that you could see here. Let's say that a patient belongs to a home health agency that really requires you to use their proprietary software, their own software. So you're not going to be using Pariox e-forms. Well, what you can do is you can click on the word note. That's what you will see actually. Instead of the word e-form, you would see the word note. And when you click on this, it'll guide you directly in a different window on your browser to that third-party software. It could be anything, any type of software that's web-based that's out there. And the third option for you of what you could experience here is you could see neither the word e-form or the word note, and you just see nothing. That it's completely blank. Well, that tells us that this is probably a paper patient, or perhaps we're doing something else, maybe filling in PDFs. And we do have a solution for that as well. When you get to the patient screen, that's where you're going to have all the answers. So now you're probably wondering, well, how do I schedule visits? How do I get these visits on this calendar right here on my home page? Well, it requires going into the patient screen. So again, you would click on the patient's name. You can do so from here. You could have found your patient here on your active list and click there, or the patient could be new. There's lots of different ways to get to your patient's page. So when you click on Johnson, it'll bring you to that patient's individual screen. Now we're looking at patient Johnson's screen, but actually every patient screen on the system is identical. So once you get familiar with this screen, you'll be familiar with every patient screen on the system. If you're looking for an address or phone number, they're always going to be in the same location. If you're looking to map this address, there's a Google Maps link you can click on right here on the right, and it'll guide you directly to Google Maps, which you can then utilize as you would normally utilize Google Maps. Every patient has a details box, and in the details box you'll find some neat information on that patient. For example, who's the home health agency that patient belongs to? Is this a private insurance or a Medicare patient? What's the cert period that we should be concerned about for this patient? Who's the director of nursing that I can call with my plan of care? So lots of neat information posted right there. Then every single patient has a right side of the screen, and on the right side of the screen you will find frequencies first. The majority of clinicians that are watching this video are going to be able to ignore the frequency over here on the right, and that's because the frequency is your calendar. This right here, PT2, that's your frequency for this current week, and PT2 over here is your frequency for the following week. So in short, you can really ignore the frequency that's posted here on the right because it is managed by your office. Your office will be entering that frequency based on your orders and your evaluations, and then from there you will simply work off of the calendar to know what is your frequency going from one week to the next. Now I say that 90% or if not more of you can ignore the frequency here. Well, the other percent of you might be or belong to a client who has activated the ability for supervising therapists to add frequencies. And if that rings a bell, if that is you, then this is what I'd like to do for those few of you that may be adding frequencies. I'd like to guide you over here to the Help tab. Everybody has this Help tab available. So all of you have this Help tab right here, and you can visit it at any time to watch more help videos on specific topics. If you are allowed to add frequencies, then this is the video right here. It sits in the exact same place on your end as it does here on this video that I'm showing you, and you can click here. It's a very short video, and it will show you exactly how can I add a frequency. You'll see this is a nice long list of videos, and there are lots of videos on here that you can watch, but there's really only going to be a few that I would recommend. And at this time, I'd like to make those recommendations. The only videos that I would recommend you watch after watching this video, of course, would be right here, the e-form training videos that you have. If you are going to be filling out Pariox electronic notes, I would highly recommend, if you're a PT/OT speech therapist, to watch this video. It's about 14 minutes long, but it is going to show you exactly how to fill out an evaluation. If you're a PTA or CODA, perhaps this video would be helpful for you. It's a 7-minute video on how to fill out an electronic document, a visit note. We will cover during this webinar or during this video, we will cover how you fill out a visit note. So we are going to go over that during this video. And if you would fill out at any point in time a remote type of electronic document, meaning a discharge summary, a physician's order form, clinical narrative, anything like that, well, that's what this video is all about right here. So just a few more minutes of video watching to be had after this video that you are watching, and I think you'll be well on your way to really having a great grasp of how to use Pariox successfully. All right, and that's again on your Help tab right here at the top. Now let's go back into the patient screen here, and right underneath frequencies you'll find assignment. Assignment is a location where you will find who else is clinically involved in the case. Doctor, case manager, perhaps the PTA if you are a PT, or vice versa. Then we have files. Files are any documents that are uploaded to this patient record by your office. So they're going to be quite important files that you'll want to take a look at, such as an intake, perhaps with diagnoses, or if this is a paper patient, then you will want to maybe download the OT eval, paper PT eval that have been scanned and uploaded to this patient's record right here. Underneath files we have forms, and that's going right into the conversation about paper. Let's say that this is a paper patient, that we're not to use electronic notes at all on Pariox. Well, what you're going to notice is that you probably won't see this e-form. Your office will have set it up perfectly to where you won't be confused. You won't even be able to see the word e-form anywhere related to that patient. But what you may find is a set of forms posted that you can utilize to treat this patient. They may be paper notes, and of course if you have any specific questions about the forms or the files, I would want to guide your attention, of course, to your office. Maybe your office can help you with providing some clarity if you have any questions about these sections over here. All right, now let's dive into the schedule. Every single patient on Pariox has a schedule tab, and they also have lots of other tabs here following to the right. Well, the schedule is the default tab, and it is the most important tab on the system. It is where you are going to be spending the majority of your time when you happen to be on a patient's page. Here's what you'll see. You will see exactly how many visits have been completed. You're also going to be able to find on the Schedule tab the therapy projected number of visits. And so between the number of visits completed, that number right there, and your projection, you will see exactly where you are with your 1319s and where you may want to plug those in on the calendar. Also, this is an interdisciplinary schedule. So just by looking at my PT schedule, I can see when the OT is scheduled. I can also see the OT frequency. So you can see OT1, well, that indicates that OT is going out just once this particular week, and next week there's no OT on the little calendar over here. That indicates that, well, OT is done. OT's frequency has ended. The calendar that you see here is your frequency. So if ever you don't see a calendar, for example here after the 28th, there's no further calendar, well, that tells me that there's no further frequency for that patient. Now I'm going to go in and schedule my visit. I can see here that I've got the 11th through the 13th. That's our projections for this week. And these projections, by the way, are very smart. They will change every week based on missed visits and based on exactly what was done in prior weeks for that patient. So in order to schedule any visit on the calendar, does not matter what type of visit it is, what you'll want to do is click on the number of the date. If you want to go on the 20th, you'll click on the number 20. If you want to go on the 21st, you'll click there. And in this scenario, I'll go ahead and schedule on the 21st. So if you click on the 21, it'll pull up a window. It will already have your name listed right there. It'll default to your discipline and the word visit, but that does not necessarily mean you have to do a visit. You can certainly come down here with the drop down and choose anything it is that you would like to schedule for this patient, including a canceled treatment or an attempted visit. Remember, based on what you schedule for this patient, that is the type of electronic document you'll have available for this e-forms patient. So if you go in and schedule a regular visit, that's exactly what you'll have available, an e-form visit note. The end time is really not going to be very relevant here. In this location, you'll be able to enter your end time on the e-form itself, but what might be very relevant is your time in. This is going to be your tentative time that you scheduled with the patient. So I'm going to go ahead and say, well, we're going to go around 11:45, and you click Save Visit. The visit will display on the calendar, as you can see right here, and it's there for everybody to see. And there's the e-form right there as well. Now, truly, once you have visits scheduled on the calendar for this patient, you really don't need to visit or come back into this individual patient screen. You can work the rest of the week right from your home page because you have your e-form and your schedule available right on your home page. Allow me to show you. This right here is the visit that we just scheduled together, and here is the e-form that you can click on and fill out for this specific visit. Now, plugging in your timesheet, that's another part of scheduling that we want to show you. We all know that just because a visit has been scheduled, it does not necessarily mean that visit was actually made. So when a visit has been completed, we definitely want to indicate that to the system so that your 1319 count and your alerts will work beautifully. So here's two methods of indicating that a visit has been done. One, you can click on the e-form, and I'll do that in this instance. And you can come in here on the day that you scheduled this visit, and you can come in here and submit your document. When you submit your electronic document, it will indicate that the related visit was done, and it will count it towards the completed count. Now, let's say you're having such a busy day that you're really not able to come into your electronic note and click Submit, but actually you're just going to click Save Draft, and you'll come back in tomorrow morning to finish your document, and you'll submit it at that time. Well, if you have a scenario like that where you have to click Save Draft, and then you realize, well, I want to let the office know that I've done that visit, even though I haven't finished the document, I have done the visit and want to indicate that to the system. Well, here's what you can do. You can click on this icon right here. This small icon will indicate that that visit was done if you click on it. So let's go ahead and do that for Friday. I'm going to click right here and click OK. And I'm going to click next to this visit as well and click OK. And you'll see it makes it blue. Well, those are the two different colors you'll see on this homepage calendar. You'll see orange for visits that are scheduled and waiting to be done, and blue are visits that are actually done. So it's a real nice indicator for you to know, well, what's been done and what has not yet been done. Now also, just because we've done a visit does not necessarily mean that we did it on the day we had originally scheduled it, right? So let's say that this visit here on Friday, I need to move to Thursday because that's actually the day on which I did it. Well, here's what you'll do. Just click back on the patient's name, and of course when you click on the name, it'll bring you to that patient's screen. When you're on the patient's screen, you scroll down to the schedule, and there it is. It's blue. It's indicated that it was done. But let's say that you needed to move that visit or edit it in any which way possible. Well, here's how you would edit a visit. Whether the visit is blue or orange, you would click on the visit. So here I click on this visit right there. It'll pull up a window on which you can do all types of things. I can indicate, well, it was something else that I scheduled. I ended up doing a different type of visit, maybe a discharge. It was a different date, so I'll go in and actually make that change. We said it was on the 20th. You can even indicate it was not completed. Uncheck it if you would like to. And you can also come in here and delete it if you are not the one who's going to be doing that visit. In this case, I'm just going to move the visit to one day, and if you click Save, it will then move that visit right on the calendar. And there it is. It has moved now to Thursday. Now, what else do we see on the schedule? Well, I want to highly encourage you to use Pariox for scheduling. And here's why. It prevents you from making scheduling errors. First of all, the frequency here for this patient is 2, right? So we need to do 1, 2 visits for that patient. Let's say that I wanted to go out a third time, that I'm really just schedule happy this week, and I'm just scheduling along and not really noticing the frequency. Well, if I click here on the 21st and I try to go in for a third visit this week, it's not going to let me do so. You won't be able to schedule above the frequency. Also, this right here is the Medicare week for the patient. This patient's Medicare week starts on Saturday, ends on Friday. I presume the majority of your Medicare weeks will most likely start on Monday or Sunday, but either way, no matter what the Medicare week is, Pariox will show you that so that you know exactly what time frame do I have to do my 2 visits in. And then lastly, if you use Pariox for scheduling, you won't ever schedule after the end of CERT or end of auth date. Right here, bright red, the 27th, that is your end of auth or end of CERT date. And let's say you try to schedule after that date here on the 28th. Well, you're not going to be able to do so. You won't be able to schedule after the end of CERT or end of auth unless, of course, the office changes those dates for you. And that's done very quickly on their end. Now, the very last item to discuss about the scheduling tab is the automatic alerts. You may have already noticed them. They are bright red. They really cannot be missed. Well, these automatic alerts are going to populate on the patient screen, and they're going to indicate exactly what is needed for that patient. So here, for example, we need to do a 13th reassessment, and it indicates exactly what disciplines are on the case. Here is an example of a 30-day reassessment. Now, nope, you won't have to go into every single patient to find where these alerts are. What you can do is simply work from your home page. Right from your home page, you're going to be finding these red alerts sitting right there on your home page. And the neat thing about these alerts is they will only appear if you have a patient belonging to that alert. For example, your active list. Well, the eForms active list, this will show you any documents that you have saved as draft that are not yet submitted. Well, if you have all your documents submitted and you have no documents in the save draft mode, then you're really not going to see this list here at all. And that's the same for all of these. This list right here, eForms sent back, well, that indicates any documents that have been sent back to you by your office. So we're going to fill out an eForm here momentarily, and I want to let you know that when you submit a document, it will lock that document in place, but you can always contact your office and they can send it right back to you so that the document is unlocked and you can make further changes. Now, talking about the alerts, the 13, 19, 30, well, these alerts are only going to be available on the homepage of supervisors. So anytime you see an alert, I highly encourage you to go to it. You can click on it right there. It'll bring you to a list of patients. Here it would be one patient who has that type of alert. And there it is, Johnson James. From there, click on the patient's name and you'll be guided to that patient screen where you would then have some more information on what is needed for the patient. The moment you schedule the appropriate type of reassessment that is due here, you will see that the alert will be removed from your home page. And there's truly no reason for you to miss that reassessment because anything that is scheduled on the calendar, keep in mind, is going to be bright orange. As you can see here on Wednesday the 19th, these visits are bright orange and they are going to stay orange until one of two things happen. One, you would go in and submit the eForm, or you come in here and indicate that it was done. All right, now let's go back into the patient screen here. We know everything there is to know about scheduling at this time. I want to address the other tabs that you see here. The profile is something you're welcome to visit on any of your patients. You'll find information such as emergency contact and perhaps some other information as well. The comments tab is a really neat place for you to communicate. It is a great place for you to communicate in an efficient manner while also having proof of communication. For example, let's say you get home late at night and you want to indicate or communicate with multiple people about this specific patient. Simply get into the comments tab, and if you get home after office hours, then, well, leaving a voicemail at the office line is probably not as efficient of an idea as doing this. Clicking Add New Comment, writing about the blood pressure of that patient or whatever the message might be, and then you'll see the names listed here of anyone who's actively involved in the case, including your own name. So you can always check off your own name for reminder comments, or you can check off the names of those you want to communicate with, as well as the office staff there as well. Click Save Comment, and once you click Save Comment, that's it. This comment will be in the inbox of those three individuals. And the neat thing is, there's great proof of communication here. Nobody can delete what you've written. You are the only one who has this red trash can because you are the author of this specific comments. Now you might be wondering, where do my comments go? When somebody writes something to me, where do they go? Well, it's right here on your homepage. This is that fourth and final part of your homepage for us to address today. And it is your comments inbox. If you see a comment, well, it's going to display exactly who it is for, what is the actual message that was written to you, also who wrote it to me, and the neat thing here is I can also see who else was it written to. I'm logged in as a supervising therapist, so for me it's quite important to know that this particular message was communicated with the PTA. Now I know I don't have to call the PTA and notify them of this specific comment. From here it's quite simple. You have a few choices. You can click on the name of that patient, as we've been doing all along, to go into the patient's screen, write a comment back, have a great conversation back and forth, or with comments like this that really don't require a lot of conversation, you can click confirm just to indicate that you have read that comment. So click confirm comment, hit OK, and what you've done now is remove that comment from your inbox. So it's really clear as day anytime you log into Pariox and you see this, meaning nothing at all, that indicates that there are no outstanding conversations or communications for you. Don't be alarmed. The comment is going to always remain on the patient screen, the Comments tab, once you have confirmed it. Now let's go ahead and dive into the e-forms. And that's really the next part of what we'll do. We'll look at some e-forms. We're going to fill out an e-form visit note. We're going to do that very swiftly. And after that, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the other remaining tabs, which will take me no more but a few minutes to cover in its entirety. Now to fill out an e-form, you can go right from your home page and click on the word e-form to open it up. Or you can dive into the patient screen and click on the word e-form right from there. So let's go ahead and do that. This e-form that's going to open up is going to be a physical therapy visit note. If you are an OT or a speech therapist, you will notice that your document looks very similar, but it is, of course, discipline specific to your discipline. What I'm going to be doing here is not really covering a visit note in detail, of course. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be just showing you what are some of the items on our e-forms that you may want to know before you dive into your very first note. Well, first and foremost, there are required fields. So let's say you click the Submit button and you had forgotten to fill out the timeout. Well, it's going to show you a pop-up window informing you that you have missed the timeout. So any required fields, if they are missing, when you click Submit, they need to be filled in. And if they're not, you will see a pop-up window with exactly an explanation of what is missing. Now what's required at the top of this document is also your patient identifiers checked and G-codes, and really throughout this document the required fields won't be as closely as you see them here in location. Where they're going to be is throughout the document, and they're going to be mostly required fields that you will want to fill out anyway, or that you would fill out anyway. As I scroll down, you'll notice that this electronic document is very, very dynamic. What I mean by that is it is very pre-populated. Lots of information will come forward from the evaluation onto your functional reassessment, your discharge, your visit notes. So here, first of all, there's medical history. Here's the treatment diagnosis. These came directly from the evaluation. You'll see also when we get to goals and treatments that that's all pre-populated as well. Now in between that, we have also some information coming from the last time that patient was seen. So Pariox isn't just grabbing data from the eval, but at this particular visit note is also taking a look at and grabbing data from the very last time that patient was seen. Perhaps today is Wednesday and we saw this patient on Monday. Perhaps the PTA saw the patient or I did. It does not matter. Whoever saw the patient within our discipline of physical therapy here, that's whose visit note the information will come from. So here we have precautions already checked off because this is exactly how we filled it out the very last time this patient was treated. If something doesn't apply today, you can always check off a checkbox. You can uncheck it, you can recheck it, you can write some information down in these free text fields, and any changes you make will transfer to the next note as well as be saved for this copy of this note. So patient homebound, you'll see lots of data is already pre-filled because this information is grabbed from the very last time that patient was seen. Safety, sanitation. Now the vitals, they are not going to be pre-populated at any point in time, but what is required in order to submit this document is at rest, 1 blood pressure, 1 pulse, 1 rhythm, a respiratory rate, and a temperature. If you're not able to take the temperature or perhaps certain of the other vitals that I just mentioned here, you can write a comment as well. So you can indicate something regarding the vitals on the comments section, and that will allow you then to leave these certain individual fields blank. As I scroll down, you'll notice that there are lots of fields, such as the post vitals over here, post activity vitals. Well, if you leave any sections blank, and this goes for any of our e-forms, if you leave sections blank that are not required, the final copy of your visit note, the final copy of your eval, for example, as well, they're going to indicate only those items that you filled out, that you addressed. So the printed copy, the PDF that your home health agencies are going to be viewing, they're only going to have on it what you actually filled out. Pain assessment, again, was pre-filled, and you can make changes very easily to indicate, well, how does the patient feel today with pain, or simply erase information if it does not apply to today's visit. Then we have treatments and instructions. The treatments and instructions section is pretty neat. It is actually going to show you only the treatments and instructions that were ordered at the time of the evaluation or on a subsequent order form. So if you see something checked off, like therapeutic exercises, well, that indicates that this is something we worked on the very last time we saw this patient. And if you see something listed here, anything at all of these verbiage right here, well, those are all indicators that these are items I'm allowed to work on. So let's say for this example that we're not going to be working on therapeutic exercises today, then I would uncheck it. But I am going to want to work on pain management. Then I would want to check that off. And you do not have to look at the eval or any orders to find out, am I okay to work on pain management? If you see the verbiage there, then yes, you are okay to work on that. Now, I had therapeutic exercises checked off. It was automatically checked off, indicating that that is an item we worked on the last time we saw the patient. If you'd like to know, well, what exactly did we do for therapeutic exercises? What exactly did we do for transfers and gait? Because all these were checked off. That means we worked on those the very last time. Well, here's what you'll find. If you scroll down, you'll find a nice little section on each one of those with the exact info that was filled out during that last treatment. So here's an area for the transfers and what the level of assistance was. Here's gaits, and that's what we worked on, or distance and so forth. Again, if something does not apply to today's visit, you would uncheck it, and you would only check off those items that are going to be worked on today. Now, here's what happens. Just if you uncheck, just by unchecking an item, that does not necessarily mean that that particular section is removed from down here. So what we recommend is to click that Save button. This Save button here, or the one at the top or the bottom, it does not matter what Save button you click on. You'll want to click on a Save button to refresh this document. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save here and hit OK, and you'll see that it refreshes very quickly. And how do I know it's refreshed? It's already done. It brings me right to the top of that document, right there. And you have links at the top of your document that bring you right back to where you just were. We were just on treatments and instructions. So click and utilize these links to your advantage so you do not have to use as much scrolling on your mobile device. Here's exactly where we just left off, and there we go. Therapeutic exercises is gone, but what I have now is a section on gait. I also have that section on pain management because that is what I checked off and want to work on today. As I scroll down, you're going to find that there are goals, and the goals that are listed here are going to be coming directly from the evaluation. Now, I want to indicate that a lot of these goals were not typed up by the therapist who did the eval. And that's where watching that e-form video on evaluations is going to be very helpful to you, supervisors. Here's a little bit of information on goals and structuring goals. Well, Pariox will generate goals based on the true deficits. So let's pretend that the patient, during your assessment, your evaluation, the patient indicates that she has pain, bilateral knee pain to be exact, and she indicates that it's at level 8. When you get onto your goals section, you will find this as a goal that is sitting right there on your goal section. What you see highlighted in blue is exactly what you will see. It will read decreased pain, bilateral knee pain, and it will indicate what the pain level was. And then from there, you will be the one to decide. Two things. One, am I going to include that goal in my plan of care or not? And what is the actual goal? Here, 3. You also will have available lots of free text field in order to elaborate on any goal that Pariox generates. So lots of these goals that you see listed here, the therapist did not spend time writing all these goals up, but actually the therapist utilized Pariox to his or her advantage. And again, Pariox is going to help you in structuring lots of objective goals. All of these goals that you see listed here are goals that were actually generated by Pariox based on the true deficits notated throughout the assessment. You can, of course, write your own goals as well. You can decide to do a nice mix of Pariox generated goals and your own goals, or just have your own goals. There's free text fields available on your goals section when you fill out your evaluation, when you are working on that. Now there's really only 2 parts left for me to discuss on this visit note, and let's go ahead and work our way down. One of those is going to be the patient's signature area. The patient's signature area is an area where the patient can sign. So here the patient can utilize their finger, a stylus pen, and they can sign their signature. If they're not happy with it, they can click erase and they can try again. Now when the patient is happy with their signature, here's what you'll want to do. Click the red Save Signature button. It is crucial that you click on the red Save Signature button. When you click Save Signature and hit OK, that is the only way for you to be able to save that patient's signature. Now I know this signature is saved. So again, that red Save Signature button is an absolute must in order to be able to save a patient's signature on an electronic document. Your signature is going to be down here. This is that secret code that you have set up on your profile tab. So be sure to set up your profile tab with an electronic signature, and you will be then utilizing that electronic signature in every e-form in order to submit it. Once your document is submitted, your office will have access to it. You will also be able to access it. You can see here, this is a submitted e-form right on the calendar. This e-form is green. Green indicates that it was submitted. If you see a pencil, the pencil icon that you see next to your e-form indicates that a patient's signature exists on that electronic note. So if anything, you could have a document that you're still working on and all you have on it is a patient's signature. That pencil will thus indicate that. If you would like to have a chronological list of all the notes, perhaps you'd like to dive into a note without looking at the schedule. That's what the eForms tab is all about. When you click on eForms, it's going to show you a chronological list of all the notes that have been done for your patient, and you can click on any of those. And when you do so, you will then also be able to print or PDF that particular note. See, here's the little printer icon, or you can download a little PDF version of that as well. Now that's everything there is to know about eForms. I do want to indicate that again, on your Help tab, here at the top right corner, that video regarding non-event eForms is going to be very beneficial to you to watch. And that's this one right here. And this will indicate to you how do you fill out an eForm discharge summary, or an e-form, physician's order form, or clinical narrative, anything like that. Now we're going to dive into, to wrap up this video here in just a few minutes, we're going to dive into the rest of these tabs right here. Well, let's look at the messages first. The messages is a location where you can communicate with your office in a confidential manner. Messages is quite simple. You have an inbox, a sent box, and a compose message button. Click compose to write your message. Select your admins, and then click send. And that's it. Your message will be sent to your admins. You can always go into your sent box, and when you do so, you can see all the messages that you have written, and you can also click on any of those messages to see, well, has that person read my message? Yes or no. You can also attach files to any of your sent messages as well. And I promise this is not yet another inbox for you to check. If there happens to be something in your inbox, what you will see is your messages tab will be bright red. It'll say unconfirmed messages. And so anytime you log into Pariox, and if there's a message that you have not yet seen, it will indicate that. And so again, don't spend any time checking the inbox. It will definitely alert you if there happens to be a message in your inbox. The Reports tab, this is where you can go in order to run user reports. There are just a few reports I'd like to point out. A lot of these reports and the information on those reports is embedded in your home page already in your Patients tab. So maybe the reports that you would benefit from might be activity, If you're curious, well, what did I do the entire month of January or February? What you would do is you can select a certain time frame, run the report, and you will have nice information that you can export into Excel, copy and paste into Excel. There will be lots of data, such as totals at the bottom of this report as well. So feel free to run this activity report to have an overview and numbers on what it is you did in a certain time frame. Then we have three more reports that might benefit you as a supervisor. EOF. If you click on this report, what does it mean? Well, it's end of frequency. This report will show you in the time frame selected which patients have a frequency that's ending. So let's say that you are out of town next week and you want to know for next week which of my patients' frequency is ending. If you're a supervising therapist, that might be very beneficial information to know. You can click Run Report. It's going to show you those patients, and then you know those are the patients for whom I need to call the PTA and find out, are we discharging? Are we going to extend the frequency? Or perhaps I need to have someone else do the discharge for me if I'm out of town. The EOC report is very similar, but it is going to show you not the end of frequency, but which patients have their end of care, end of cert. So again, you can run this report for the following week to know which patients have a cert period ending. So those are the patients I need to recert, and I want to call the nurse to find out, is she doing the OASIS or is he doing the OASIS? So those are some two very neat reports for supervisors. And finally, supervision report. The supervision report will show you which exact visits am I named the supervisor on. So if you're curious, for January, how many visits was I named the supervisor on? And what are those visits? That's exactly what it will show you. And it will, of course, also show you who was the PTA or the CODA that did the visit that I was named supervisor on. Feel free to run any of these reports just to get familiar with them and find out, are there any time-saving reports here for me that will really help me manage my caseload. You may find that there are other reports here that might be beneficial to you. Two more tabs. Payroll. Payroll is a location where you can go in and find any pay stubs that have been created for you. So if you click on payroll and you look back and sit back, and you can see that's real simple. You can click on open or you can click on paid. I'm going to go ahead and click on paid, and if you click on paid, it's going to show you a list of all the pay stubs that have been paid to you. If you want to view a specific pay stub, click on the open button here to display it. So if you click open, it's going to show you exactly what visits did you get paid for on that pay stub, and if you have electronic notes, you can even grab them right from there. So that is the payroll tab. Finally, we have the schedule tab. The Schedule tab will show you a monthly view of your schedule. You can browse between the months, previous or next month, and you can also click on Go To Today to view what do I have scheduled today in chronological order. Printing this Go To Today document or Go To Today page will have on it every patient's phone number and address. Now, the Schedule tab may not be utilized by you that often or every day, because the Patients tab has on it, of course, the schedule. And keep in mind, your Patients tab, your home page, is going to be the place where you will be spending the majority of your time on Pariox. Well, that wraps up the video, the clinician training video. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to visit your Help tab to view lots of videos on specific topics. You can always type in your topic of question right there to search through this particular screen here. And I also want to indicate that you are welcome to email us. support@pariox.com is the email that you can reach us at. If you have any other specific questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us, or of course your office. They will always be a great contact as well. Thank you so much. And we wish you all the best with Pariox.